Wars may end, but the rifles that fought them live on. There are old warhorses still out there, firing, collecting dust, or quietly gaining value. These built nations, toppled regimes, and soaked up history one round at a time. Want to know what it's like to own the exact kind of gun that fought wars, crossed borders, and outlasted empires? In this video, we're diving into 8 military surplus rifles you need. Not next year, not next month, but right now. You'll see how a Nazi K98 ended up defending Israel, how a Chinese Type 56 went from jungle ambushes to American gun safes, and how the humble Mini 14 did time in Commonwealth uniform. We've got wood and steel beast with grenade launchers, Cold War classics that still shoot sub-3 MOA, and roller-locked 308s that shrug off abuse. Sadly, they're all getting harder and harder to come by. Doesn't matter if you're a collector, a shooter, or just want a piece of living history before it disappears into the vaults. This list has something for everyone. If you've got the itch, let's break down 8 rifles that earned their scars. Number 8. Israeli Mauser K98. Germany designed it, Czechoslovakia shipped it, and Israel used it to win a war it wasn't expected to survive. In the months before the 1948 War of Independence, the Haganah needed rifles more than speeches, so agents in Prague brought up Wehrmacht-captured K98s by the train car and slipped them south under the code name Operation Balak. Roughly 35,000 of those rifles arrived wearing a mixed bag of German, Czech, and even FN Belgian stampings. Nazi eagles were ground off. Hebrew property marks were added, and by the early 1950s, most receivers wore a big, hand-pounded 7.62 because Israel had rebarreled them to NATO spec after adopting the FN FAL. Mechanically, they remained long-action Mausers, turn-bolt, dual-lug, internal 5-round magazine. Only now, they fling 7.62 NATO or 308 Win with the sort of accuracy a good K98 is famous for. Bayonets, slings, cleaning kits, and even grenade launchers were produced locally, so an Israeli example will often come up with Hebrew characters on the leather and beechwood accessories. You may encounter a German wartime receiver, a late-war BRNO semi-Kriegs model, or a post-war FN contract gun. Mixing and matching was routine during arsenal rebuilds. Shooters like them because the 7.62 barrels are fresh and still factory tight. Collectors chase them because every example tells a different story in steel stamps and stock cartridges. Prices used to lurk near $500, but those days are gone. Figure $700 to $1,500 for a serviceable rifle with mixed parts, $2,000 for a clean, largely matching example, and $3,000 or more for an untouched wartime K98 that simply picked up Israeli proofs. If you want one rifle that merges Second World War engineering with Cold War rebirth, this is it. If you do snag one, with both surplus NATO ball and a hand load tuned to the rifle's slower 1 in 10 twist, you'll notice that the fresh Israeli barrels prefer 147 to 155 grain bullets, and they print tighter once the action heats a bit. Bring a nickel-silver front sight drift. Most shoot left after the rebarrel job. Number 7. Chinese Type 56 AK. Walk into any photo of a 20th century insurgency and you'll likely see a Type 56, China's 1956 clone of the Soviet AK-47. Early production at State Factory 66 copied the Soviet-milled receiver, but Beijing soon shifted to a heavier 1.5mm stamped shell that's tougher than the Russian AKM's 1mm skin. A hooded front sight, smooth top cover, and slab-sided handguards give it a distinct silhouette, while the rich blued finish screams pre-industrial mass production in the best possible way. It still fires the standard 7.62 by 39 M43 round from 30-round magazines, and Chinese bolts and carriers are chromed lined for longevity in monsoon climates. On paper, you'll get 2 to 4 inch groups at 100 yards with steel case ammo, plenty for its intended role. Semi-auto imports surged in the 1980s under Norinco and Polytech banners. Back then, $300 got you a rifle, 3 mags, a bayonet, and a green canvas sling. Those kits now pull $800 and keep climbing. Early underfolders, Spiker bayonet models, or imports marked Polytech Legend break the $1,200 plus ceiling with ease. What sets the Type 56 apart from garden variety AKMs is history. From the Ho Chi Minh Trail to the mountains of Afghanistan, Chinese aid programs and black market routes delivered millions of them. Many are still fighting, but the American collector, it's the most direct way to own a rifle that shaped half a century of guerrilla warfare. Durable, simple, and deeply tied to world events. When a Type 56 arrives, pull the furniture and look for Soviet inspector stamp on the buttstock's inletting. Stars or circled numbers are a fun discovery and hint at an early production. Many rifles also hide a spring-loaded firing pin conversion, so shake the bolt and be sure you hear the rattle. If not, clean the channel to prevent fire slams. Number 6. Beretta BM59. Italy looked at its mountain of surplus Garins and, instead of junking them, hired Beretta to drag the design into the NATO era. The BM59, accepted in 1959, retains the Garin's long-stroke gas system and rotating bolt, but swaps the 8-round clip for a detachable 20-round magazine and rechambers everything for 7.62 by 51. A selector switch adds full auto at roughly 800 RPM. Yet, recoil feels gentler than expected thanks to a multi-purpose muzzle device that tames flash, directs gas, and launches rifle grenades. Versions range from the Alpine carbine with a folding steel stock to the Mark III Para with a bipod and lightweight barrel. All share superb Italian machining, forged receivers, deep bluing, and walnut that looks like it belongs on a shotgun. Beretta, Nigeria's Daikon, Indonesia's Granddad, and Argentina's FMAP produced surface rifles. Springfield Armory made semi-auto civilian models in the 1980s. Parts kit builds fill the gaps in between. Because receivers began as Garins, quality varies. Factory Berettas start around $3,000, Springfield rifles hover in the low 2000s, and well-executed kit builds begin at about $1,200. Beware rewelds masquerading as originals. Insist on clear P Beretta or Springfield Armory markings. If you land a good one, you'll own a rifle that bridges the gap between World War II wood and steel and the stamped plastic stocked battle rifles that followed. Most shooters never try the grenade launcher sleeve, yet it's easy fun. Inert 22mm NATO training grenades are still around, and a single blank propels them about 50 yards. Flip the gas shutoff, load one grenade blank, and you're in business. Just mind the recoil impulse, which is sharp but manageable. For everyday use, the bipod legs fold tight under the barrel and even act as a rudimentary vertical grip in offhand positions. Number 5. CETME Model C. Spain's CETME looks like it should say Heckler and Koch on the magwell, but the lineage runs the other way. German engineer Ludwig Vorgrimler perfected his roller delayed system under Franco's protection, chambering the Model C for plus pressure 7.62 NATO by 1964. The rifle uses a stamped receiver, fluted chamber, and twin rollers that delay bolt opening until pressures fall, yielding a soft recoil and tank-like reliability. A popular stock, slim handguard, and distinctive birdcage flash hider complete the package. Original Spanish service rifles are scarce in the U.S. Most of what we see are century-built semi-autos assembled from demilled parts kits on new stainless receivers. When the welding and headspace are right, these guns shoot 2 to 4 MOA groups and run as clean as any G3 clone. When the build is sloppy, extrication troubles follow. Inspect bolt gap and carrier finish before you buy. Caliber is generally 7.62 by 51, though 308 Win head stamps shoot fine. Prices begin around $800 for a shooter-grade Century, climb past $1,300 for a tidy kit build, and can reach $2,000 plus for an unmodified Spanish military rifle. If you like the G3's engineering but want a warmer wood-stocked aesthetic and maybe a few $100 left over for ammo, the CETME scratches that itch. Spanish bluing looks different from German Parkerizing, so keep that deep charcoal finish protected with clove-scented rig grease on the exterior surfaces. Check bolt gap with feeler gauges every few hundred rounds. 0.004 to 0.020 inch is the sweet spot, and replacing rollers to adjust clearance is a 5-minute job. For a more forgiving cheek weld, slip on a G3 rubber butt pad. It lengthens the pull slightly and tames what little recoil the roller system passes through. Zero the rifle at 200 meters using the rotating diopter drum. Once set, the clicks track surprisingly well. Reload drills improve if you round off the sharp edges on surplus mags with a file in cold blue. Spare parts ride in a classy leather CETME cleaning kit that fits your range bag without clutter. Number 4. FN-49. Diodon Saive's FN-49 was ready just as armies started demanding selective fire, which doomed it to niche status, but left us with a beautifully built self-loader, milled receiver, walnut stock, 10-round charger-loaded magazine, and an adjustable gas regulator that flips to shut off for launching grenades. Everything about it feels pre-war, even though production began in 1949. Roughly 176,000 rifles went to 9 customer nations, and another dozen trailed it. FN chambered the design for practically every major service round: 7x57, 7.92x57, 30-06, 7.65x53, 7.5x54 French, 6.5x55 Swedish, and in later Argentine conversions, 7.62 NATO with 20-round detachable mags. Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Belgium Congo ordered scoped marksmanship versions with 4x OIP optics, while Egypt mounted Meopta glass on rifles fitted with a distinctive third sling swivel. Weight sits around 9.5 pounds, and with good ammo, 2 MOA groups are common. Egyptian 8mm rifles are easiest to find, often $800 to $1,200. Scarcer Luxembourg 30-06 or Argentine 7.62 rifles quickly rise past $1,700, and pristine Belgian contract guns bring more. They're heavy, elegant, and a pleasure on the range. Proof that craftsmanship sometimes matters more than rate of fire. Before firing your new FN-49, back out the gas regulator screw until only the first 2 flats remain visible. Then, with the rifle shouldered, dial the screw in 1 click at a time while watching brass ejection. Stop when empties land 6 to 8 feet right of the muzzle. This preserves brass for reloading and keeps the action from battering itself. The 2-position rear aperture lets you shift from a 200-meter battle zero to a finer 400-meter notch, handy during mixed distance range days. Number 3. PTR 91. West Germany's G3 blended CETME mechanics with Teutonic refinement. An American maker, PTR, keeps that tradition alive. The GIR model mirrors military dimensions: 18-inch medium barrel, 110 twist, welded scope rail, paddle mag release, and surplus H&K green furniture. Chambering is in 7.62x51, 308, and the roller delayed system shrugs off mud, sand, and cheap ammo alike. Recoil feels more like a firm shove than a kick. The fluted chamber rips cases free before they can stick. Surplus aluminum mags cost less than a movie ticket. A decent shooter will hold 2 to 3-inch groups with ball ammo and better with match loads. The only factory quirk is a long, gritty trigger, but aftermarket packs from Bill Springfield or H&K original parts fix that. PTR lists the GIR at roughly $1,550. Add $100 for state-compliant models or save a few bucks on the bare bones 101 Classic. Considering new FALs and M1A variants cost more, the PTR is a solid buy for anyone who wants Cold War power without Cold War ergonomics. Number 2. Ruger Mini 14 GB. Ruger's Mini 14 usually roams ranches, yet from 1983 to 2016, it was the frontline rifle of the Royal Bermuda Regiment. The ANA needed something lighter than the L1A1, but tougher than a pistol caliber carbine, so it ordered a few thousand Mini 14 GBs, government barrel versions, with a thicker 18.5-inch tube, flash suppressor, and M7 bayonet lug. Early rifles kept walnut stocks. Choate pistol grip synthetics arrived in the 1990s. Each receiver carries the Bermudan crest. Inside, the rifle is a downsized M1 Garand M14 hybrid, fixed position, rotating bolt, and a self-cleaning gas regulator that laughs at neglect. It feeds from 20 to 30 round mags and runs either 223 rim or 5.56 NATO. Accuracy with ball ammo hovers around 3 inches at 100 yards. Plenty for guard duty and plenty for coyotes, which is why so many civilians like it. When Britain donated L85A2 rifles and optics, the regiment parked its minis. Surplus trickles out rarely. Expect 850 to 1100 for a crest mark example. More if the wood is unscarred. Commercial minis are everywhere, but a real RBR rifle offers an uncommon mix of Commonwealth service and American manufacturer. If accuracy is your game, glass bedding the receiver tanks to the walnut stock tightens cold barrel groups from 4 inches to closer to 2 with 55 grain match loads. ATEX sights peep rear aperture bolts on without drilling and double sight radius, giving the rifle AR-like sight speed while retaining classic lines. Number 1. SKS. Sergei Simonov's SKS bridges the gap between Mosin simplicity and AK modernity. Adopted by the USSR in 1949, quickly eclipsed by the AK, it nonetheless armed China, Yugoslavia, Romania, Albania, and others for decades. The action is a short-stroke gas piston with a tilting bolt that locks onto the receiver floor. Strong, easy to strip, and tolerant of filthy ammunition. Chinese Type 56 carbines dominate U.S. imports. Early Sino-Soviet rifles show Soviet-style markings. Later, Norinco switched to stamped trigger guards, but kept milled receivers and chrome-lined barrels. They loaded with 10-round stripper clips and balanced well for field carry. The rare SKSD and SKSM accept AK mags, making them unicorns for collectors. collectors. The Yugoslav M59/66 adds NATO pattern grenade launcher hardware, flip-up sight, and a gas shutoff, though it loses the chrome lining. Barrel erosion is one thing to check. Either way, shooters report 2 to 3 inch groups at 100 yards, low recoil, and utter dependability. Price has climbed since the $50 crate days, yet the SKS remains attainable. Clean Norinkos run $450 to $650. Yugo M59/66 rifles bring $500 to $750. Nicer examples of any variant can jump another $100. Parts, slings, and stripper clips are still cheap, and the rifles soak up corrosive surplus without complaint once you learn a proper hot water cleaning routine. On Chinese rifles, check the firing pin for free movement by shaking the bolt. No rattle means it's time for a deep solvent soak and pipe cleaner treatment. Yugo M59/66 owners should learn the simple trick of rotating the gas valve to the grenade position after the last shot. It prevents carbon caking in the regular sleeve. For a first military surplus piece, the SKS is hard to beat. Milled steel, semi-auto, rugged, historic, and still reasonably priced. A perfect gateway into the world of battle rifle collecting. And those are 8 rifles with stories etched in steel. Some still battlefield ready, others straight from history's front lines. So which one caught your attention? Was it the Cold War muscle of the PTR-91, the trench-proven SKS, or that Israeli K98 with a past full of grit and irony? Drop your pick in the comments. Give this video a like if you learned something new, and share it with someone who needs to see this list. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that bell icon for more of these breakdowns. Thanks for watching.